Let you to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, no. This is just a mere parang consideration. I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, I don't mind. Ako so far in the past 2 Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero namagay yung paa eh. Okay, Mr. President, kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Mr. President, I've been looking diagonally to my left for the last several days. A colleague of ours coming from our great province of Cavite, Mr. President. May I know the exact rule, Mr. President, concerning a colleague, concerning a member of this chamber with medical devices, apparatus, and apparently under rehabilitation, Mr. President? Is he really required to be physically present during hearings? I'm referring, Mr. President, to the Honorable Senator Bong Revilla. Lagi ko po nakikita rito na may dala, kulang na lang po wheelchair, Mr. President.
Well, with due respect to our distinguished colleague, the rules is very explicit. We only amended the rules for online sessions for COVID infected individuals or those that have contagious diseases, COVID, TB, Ebola, pagkaganyan, pwede yan online or is bedridden. Were lax, but the rules is very specific. It is only for contagious diseases. But due to humanitarian reasons, because he had his operation last week that did not stand up, we allowed it. However, he attended a political party rally in Manila Polo Club, was seen by everybody standing beside our president, and therefore he seems fit to be able to join us. And he joined us last Wednesday. To be very fair about it, he did join us last Wednesday. So I leave it now to the majority leader to make the proposition.
Yeah, Mr. President, just to put on record, if
Mr. President, may I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite.
just want to
recognized.
let you to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, no. This is just a mere parang consideration. I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, I don't mind. Ako so far in the past 2 Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero namagay yung paa eh. So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Yeah, just a reminder, Your Honor, I've had a perfect attendance since 1998. I have not been absent from sessions since 1998. For the record, I must have the longest record of appearance in the legislature. Well, times I'm sick, times I don't feel good, times I'm also bug-bug sa trabaho, but I try to make it a point to be here to show our commitment. But the rules is very clear, and I leave it back to our chairman of the Committee on Rules to make the motion or the manifestation so that we are clear with the rules.
Thank you. Mr. President, may I reiterate what you mentioned about our rules? It's very clear on Rule 14, Senate Sessions, Section 41. Letter B, Mr. President, convene and hold session through teleconference, video conference, and other reliable forms of remote or electronic means using appropriate information and communications technology systems due to force majeure or the occurrence of a national emergency as determined by the majority of all the members of the Senate, which may prevent the convening of the Senate or the physical presence of its members in the session hall. If you recall, Mr. President, I think last week, Mr. President, there was no objection coming from our colleagues of the Senate when we made that motion, Mr. President, to somehow suspend the rules for our dear colleague who just had a terrible accident, Mr. President. And again, we would like to put on record that we commiserate with our distinguished colleague. And in Rule In section 120 of our rules, Mr. President, it says here, and I quote, "The unanimous consent of any action or proceeding may be given expressly or impliedly." And that's the main reason, Mr. President, that we allowed our colleague to be present via online without touching, Mr. President, our regular rules, Mr. President, because no one actually objected to it. But again, Mr. President, this is a case-to-case basis. If anyone
President.
would move, Mr. President.
Yes, I move, Mr. President, Majority Leader. With all due respect and in recognition still of our rules, I believe there is a definition for bedridden. Given the inability of our colleague to move, I think he should be considered bedridden even under our rules.
You know the reason why I'm bringing this up? Because last week, another colleague of ours was going to do a checkup and ask for Zoom call as well. When will this stop, Your Honors? When will this stop? What is the leeway that we're going to give our colleagues?
Mr. President, we abide by the rules and
Yes.
it actually says very clearly that bedridden is a category that applies.
No, it's not in our rules, madam. There's no
But
measure in the rules on bedridden. It's the chairperson just read what is on the rules earlier. If you may repeat it, Your Honor, Majority
Mr.
Leader.
But I
President?
understand from the Majority Leader that we could reconsider.
Mr.
We could
President, may I ask for a
reconsider
brief
even if
suspension, Mr.
no
President?
one
Suspended.
actually objected.
Is seeking the floor and actually has the floor. I move that she be recognized, Mr. President.
Our distinguished colleague from Ilocos Norte is recognized.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. And upon consultation, let me withdraw the motion and just enjoining your greatest humanitarian concern, refer therefore this issue to the Committee on Rules for further study and immediate action.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we'd like to thank our distinguished colleague, Senator Amy Marcos, for trusting her Committee on Rules.
Yeah, there be no objection to her motion, duly seconded by the Majority Leader. Motion's approved.
The approval.
Before we do that, may we recognize Senator Tolentino?
Mr. President, just a point of inquiry on the basis of humanitarian consideration, Mr. President. Mr. President, I've been looking diagonally to my left for the last several days. A colleague of ours coming from our great province of Cavite, Mr. President. May I know the exact rule, Mr. President, concerning a colleague, concerning a member of this chamber with medical devices, apparatus, and apparently under rehabilitation, Mr. President? Is he really required to be physically present during hearings? I'm referring, Mr. President, to the Honorable Senator Bong Revilla. Lagi ko po nakikita rito na may dala, kulang na lang po wheelchair, Mr. President.
Well, with due respect to our distinguished colleague, the rules is very explicit. We only amended the rules for online sessions for COVID-infected individuals, or those that have contagious diseases, COVID, TB, Ebola, pagkaganyan, pwede yan online, or is bedridden. We're lax. But the rules is very specific. It is only for contagious diseases. But due to humanitarian reasons, because he had his operation last week that he could not stand up, however, he attended a political party rally in Manila Polo Club, was seen by everybody standing beside our president, and therefore he seems fit to be able to join us. And he joined us last Wednesday, to be very fair about it. He did join us last Wednesday. So I leave it now to the Majority Leader to make the proposition.
Yeah, Mr. President, just to put on record, if
Mr. President, may I take the
Yes.
floor?
Yes, our distinguished colleague from
I
Cavite
just
is
want to
recognized.
let you, to inform the body, hindi po tayo nagpapaawa dito, no? This is just a mere parang consideration. Ako, I don't mind for humanitarian reason. I mean, ako, I don't mind. Ako so far, in the past 2 Congress, perfect attendance ang inyong lingkod. Never been late, never been absent. Sino ba namang gustong umabsent dito? That's why I want to be online. During our last session, I attended. I tried. Pero namaga yung paa eh.
Alam mo ni Majority Leader.
So it's okay, Mr. President. Kahit na mabulok yung paa dito, no problem. Para sa bayan.
Yeah, just a reminder, Your Honor, no? I've had a perfect attendance since 1998. I have not been absent from sessions since 1998. For the record, I must have the longest record of appearance in the legislature. When times I'm sick, times I don't feel good, times I'm also bugbog sa trabaho. but I try to make it a point to be here to show our commitment. But the rules is very clear, and I leave it back to our chairman of the Committee on Rules to make the motion or the manifestation so that we are clear with the rules.
Thank you. Mr. President, may I reiterate what you mentioned about our rules? It's very clear on Rule 14, Senate Session, Section 41. Letter B, Mr. President, convene and hold session through teleconference, video conference, and other reliable forms of remote or electronic means using appropriate information and communications technology systems due to force majeure or the occurrence of a national emergency as determined by the majority of all the members of the Senate, which may prevent the convening of the Senate or the physical presence of its members in the session hall. If you recall, Mr. President, I think last week, Mr. President, there was no objection coming from our colleagues of the Senate when we made that motion, Mr. President, to somehow suspend the rules for our dear colleague who just had a terrible accident, Mr. President. And again, we would like to put on record that we commiserate with our distinguished colleague. And in Section 120 of our rules, Mr. President, it says here, and I quote, the unanimous consent of any action or proceeding may be given expressly or impliedly. And that's the main reason, Mr. President, that we allowed our colleague to be present via online without touching, Mr. President, our regular rules, Mr. President, because no one actually objected to it. But again, Mr. President, this is a case-to-case basis. If anyone would move, Mr. President.
Yes, I move, Mr. President, Majority Leader. With all due respect and in recognition still of our rules, I believe there is a definition for bedridden. Given the inability of our colleague to move, I think he should be considered bedridden even under our rules.
You know the reason why I'm bringing this up? Because last week, another colleague of ours was going to do a checkup and ask for Zoom call as well. When will this stop, Your Honors? When will this stop? What is the leeway that we're going to give our colleagues?
Mr. President, we abide by the rules, and
Yes.
it actually says very clearly that bedridden is a category that applies.
No, it's not in our rules, madam. There's
But
no measure in the rules on bedridden. It's the chairperson just read what is on the rules earlier. If you may repeat it, Your Honor, Majority Leader.
But I understand from the Majority Leader that we could reconsider.
Mr.
We could
President, may I ask for a
reconsider
minute
even
suspension,
if
Mr.
no
Session
one
suspended.
actually objected.
Marcos is seeking the floor and actually has the floor. I move that she be recognized, Mr. President.
Our distinguished colleague from Ilocos Norte is recognized.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. And upon consultation, let me withdraw the motion and just enjoining your greatest humanitarian concern, refer therefore this issue to the Committee on Rules for further study and immediate action.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President, and we'd like to thank our distinguished colleague, Senator Amy Marcos, for trusting her Committee on Rules.
Yeah, there being no objection to her motion, duly seconded by the Majority Leader. Motion's approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Tolentino.
Thank you. Mr. President, at this juncture, with the consent of the body, I move that we proceed with the third reading of bills on the creation of courts. Printed copies of these measures were electronically distributed to the members of this August chamber on May 7, 2024, in compliance with the 3-day rule of the Constitution. With that, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 6582. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts in Cabagan, Isabela. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved. Secretary, please read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 2 additional branches of the Regional Trial Court and a second judicial region to be stationed in the municipality of Cabagan, province of Isabela, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. Senator Lauren Legarda, yes. With 21 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 6582 is approved on third reading.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 6583. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts.
Again, let me make a correction. 22 affirmative votes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to consider on third reading House Bill number 6583. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts and municipal trial courts in San Jose and Basilisa, province of Dinagat Island. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the motion, we ask the Secretary to read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
Anak creating 3 additional branches of the Regional Trial Court in the 10th Judicial Region to be stationed in the municipality of San Jose, province of Dinagat Islands, and 2 additional branches of the Municipal Trial Court in the 10th Judicial Region to be stationed in the municipality of San Jose and Basilisa. Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva,
Yes.
Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 6583 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 6584. This is the bill on the creation of a regional trial court in Baybay City, Leyte. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, the Secretary to read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
Anak creating 1 additional branch of the Regional Trial Court in the 8th Judicial Region to be stationed in Sita Baybay, province of Leyte, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 6584 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8247. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts in Calawag, Quezon. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved. We ask Secretary to read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
Anak creating 4 additional branches of the RTC in the 4th Judicial Senator Gatchalian, Municipality of Calawag, province of Quezon, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva,
Yes.
Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8247 is approved on third reading.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move that we proceed with the third reading of bills still on the creation of courts, to which the printed copies were electronically distributed to the members of this August chamber on May 9, 2024, in compliance with the 3-day rule in the Constitution. And with that, Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8248. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts and municipal trial courts in cities Pangasinan, Pangasinan City, Zamboanga del Sur. I so move, Mr. President.
Pagadian.
Pagadian.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
Anak creating 2 additional branches of the RTC and 2 additional branches of the MTCC in the 9th Judicial Region to be stationed in Sita Pagadian, province of Zamboanga del Sur, appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva,
Yes.
Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8248 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8249. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts and municipal trial courts in cities in Antipolo, province of Rizal. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
Anak creating 10 additional branches of the RTC and 8 additional branches of the MTCC in the 4th Judicial Region to be stationed in City of Antipolo, province of Rizal, appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Antiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8249 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8250. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts in the island garden city of Samal and Panabo, Davao del Norte. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating two additional branches of the RTC in the 11th Judicial Region to be stationed in Island Garden City of Samal, Panabo, Davao del Norte, and appropriate funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8250 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8253. This is the bill on the creation of municipal trial court in Malaybalay, Bukidnon. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title of the measure, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating one additional branch of the MTCC in the 10th Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of Malaybalay, province of Bukidnon, and appropriate funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 22 affirmative votes, 0 abstentions, 0 negative votes, House Bill number 8253 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8254. This is the bill on the creation of RTCs in Rosario and San Juan, Batangas. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, Chair and the Secretary asks to read the title of the measure, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 5 additional branches of the RTC in the 4th Judicial Region to be stationed in the municipalities of Rosario and San Juan, province of Batangas, and appropriate funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8254 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. I now move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8256. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts and metropolitan trial courts in Navotas City. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 3 additional branches of the RTC and 2 additional branches of the MTC in the National Capital Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of Navotas and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8256 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8258. This is the bill on the creation of municipal trial courts in San Carlos, Pangasinan. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 3 additional branches of the municipal trial court in cities in the 1st Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of San Carlos, province of Pangasinan, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Ligarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8258 is approved. On third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8259. This is the bill creating regional trial courts and metropolitan trial courts in San Juan City. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the motion, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating additional branches of the RTC and MTC in the National Capital Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of San Juan, converting 4 branches of the RTC in Pasig City into 4 branches of the RTC in the city of San Juan and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8259 is approved on third reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8260. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts in Hinuog, Misamis Oriental. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to proceed with the reading of the title and the roll call vote.
An act creating 2 additional branches of the RTC and the 10th Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of Hinuog, province of Misamis Oriental, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 22 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8260 is approved on third reading.
Usapin mo yung mga nakalinya. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8251. This is the bill on the creation of regional trial courts and municipal trial courts in Ormoc City, Leyte. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved. We ask Secretary to read the title and proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 4 additional branches of the RTC and 4 additional branches of the MTCC in the 8th Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of Ormoc, province of Leyte, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8251 is approved on third reading.
8251 yun, no? 8251 yun. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8255. This is the bill on the creation of municipal trial courts in cities in Bacolod, Negros Occidental. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved. We ask Secretary to proceed with the reading of the title and the roll call vote.
An act creating 2 additional branches of the MTCC in the 6th Judicial Region to be stationed in the city of Bacolod, province of Negros Occidental, appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
Yes. With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8255 is approved on third reading.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move to consider on third reading House Bill number 8252. This is the bill on the creation of RTCs in Tubod, Lanao del Norte. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, we ask Secretary to read the title, proceed with the roll call vote.
An act creating 2 additional branches of the RTC in the 12th Judicial Region to be stationed in the municipality of Tubod, province of Lanao del Norte, and appropriating funds therefore. Roll call vote. The Honorable Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Ontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel, Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, the Senate President.
With 23 affirmative votes, 0 negative votes, 0 abstentions, House Bill number 8252 is approved on third reading.
Mr. President, President, our minority leader is seeking the floor. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
Our distinguished minority floor leader is recognized.
I rise to raise a question of privilege, Mr. President, as this matter affects, I think, our ability to discharge our function today. Given the fact that we have different health conditions, so hindi naman tayo pare-pare yung situation, Mr. President. It's too, if not warm, it's too hot, Mr. President. And the best proof is that there is an electric fan in front of the table of our Senate President pro tempore. There is a fan in front of her table, so two electric fans daw, sabi directed at her. So, Mr. President, if I can ask for a suspension, Mr. President, of session until we let's talk about this, Mr. President. If we can competently continue with our session for today, Mr. President.
We'd like to recognize first, to stand up earlier was Senator Tolentino, then Senator
Thank you, Mr.
Bato de la
President.
Rosa, and then Senator Chis Escudero.
Yes, Mr. President. Anterior to the privileged speech of the Minority Leader, Mr. President, gusto ko lang pong pasalamatan in behalf of the various integrated Bar of the Philippines chapters coming from Isabela Province, Dinagat Islands, Baybay City, Province of Quezon, Pagadian City, Antipolo City, Samal City, Panabo City, the Province of Bukidnon, Batangas Province, Nabota City in NCR, Pangasinan, San Carlos City, San Juan City, National Capital Region, Misamis Oriental, Ormoc City, Bacolod City, and Lanao del Norte. Thank you, Mr. President, for the passage of the various bills, creating various courts in the aforesaid places, Mr. President. And also, this representation would like to thank the Senate President, Juan Miguel Zubiri, the hardworking majority floor leader, Joel Villanueva, and of course, the hardworking minority floor leader, Senator Coco Pimentel, for his insightful inputs during the interpellation. Mr. President, in the interest of time, and as contained in the privileged speech of the minority leader, I will just be submitting an extended manifestation of gratitude to our colleagues for approving on third reading the various measures heeding the call of the various IBP chapters nationwide. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President.
Thank you very much to our sponsor. Maraming salamat din for considering all those provinces that you have heard. And
As we are
sponsored.
being very lenient with our rules, Mr. President, we will continue hearing manifestations. I think Senator Bato, Senator Bong, even our Senate President Pro Temp, and Senator Estrada would like to make a short manifestation.
Senator De La Rosa is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. If the earlier manifestation of our minority leader is a motion, I would manifest also to second the motion, Mr. President. That's all. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
President.
you. Yes, Senator Bongo.
Mr. President.
We have a motion, live motion, duly seconded, Mr. President, but it's your call, Mr. President. We can...
Well, the motion is to suspend, but these gentlemen here are standing up possibly because of the passage of these bills that we just did for third reading.
So with the indulgence of the movement,
yes.
may we hear our colleagues, Mr. President. Thank
Yes.
you. And the Senate Minority Leader is nodding his head. So
Yes, with
we
the
proceed,
permission of
Mr.
the Minority
President.
Leader.
Please.
Mr. President, may I request to be considered a co-sponsor of the bills we approve on third reading? Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator Bongo. Approved by the sponsor, Senator Tolentino. Yes, Senator Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, whatever the outcome of the Senator's caucus, whether to suspend or not, I am still willing to be interpellated by some of our colleagues with regard to the bill that I am enacting right now, because I know the importance of this bill and we have to pass it before we adjourn sine die. Thank
Yes,
you, Mr. President.
and the caucus had also make an appeal to our colleagues. We only have 5 working days not counting today. 5 working days left, Your Honors. So we can suspend
With that,
and
Mr.
discuss with
President,
the minority
move
floor
for the
leader.
previous motion, Mr. President, to suspend in the meantime until maayos, Mr. President.
Yes, until we get more electric funds.
And
So
probably
session
get
is
more
suspended
electric
for 1
funds.
minute.
Thank you. So move, Mr. President.
There being objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status of the measure is that we have closed the period of interpellations and debate. And so with the consent of the body, I move to open the period of amendments and recognize the distinguished sponsor, the distinguished lady from the great province of Iloilo, Pangasinan, and San Juan City, Senator Grace Poe, for her committee amendments.
Our distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, is recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. On page 2, section 2, line 9, after the word successor, insert the phrase or the National Electrification Administration, NEA, or its legal successor. I so move.
There being no objection to the amendment, amendments approved.
On the same page, section 3, line 21, after the first mention of the word ERC, insert the phrase and NEA. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, most amendments approved.
On the same page, section and line, after the second mention of the word ERC, insert the phrase or the NEA. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, amendments approved.
On page 4, line 1, insert a new section 8 to read as follows. Section 8, the commitment to provide and promote the creation of employment opportunities. The grantee shall create employment opportunities and shall allow on-the-job trainings in their franchise operation, singular, provided that priority shall be accorded to the residents where their principal office is located, provided further that the grantee shall comply with the applicable labor standards and allowance entitlement under existing labor laws, rules and regulations, and similar issuances. Renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the amendment, amendments approved.
On the same page, lines 24 to 29, delete the entire section 11 on acceptance and compliance and renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection to the amendment, amendment is, yes, our minority floor leaders.
Yes, just a clarification. Why are we deleting this section, Mr. President? Hindi po ba para standard ito sa mga franchises?
In the 18th Congress, the House of Representatives and Senate already agreed to delete this provision. The nature of this measure is an application, thus the franchise is deemed accepted once approved and enacted into law. It is also not conditional on the part of the franchise to accept the franchise. Once granted, the franchisee is obliged to comply with the provisions.
Oh, so Mr. President, because if I remember the House hearings on the SMNI franchise, parang isa ito sa mga napapound doon nababanggit doon So, it's a matter of, it's a question of policy yata if there is no right or wrong position here So it's either do we want them to accept in writing or do we no longer require it? So, so previously, before the 18th Congress, standard feature ito of franchises. What caused the Congress to cease requiring this acceptance in writing, Mr. President? If our sponsor knows, Mr. President. Acceptance in writing, kitanggalin bakit kaya? Hindi na sa ibang sakit kaya?
Mr. President, actually, it's the House of Representatives that asserted that once a franchise has already been enacted, they don't really need a letter of acceptance. As long as they comply with the provisions of the privilege of having a franchise, that's also equivalent to them accepting it. Otherwise, if they don't comply, like for example, they have to be operational within 2 years, etc. They have to file all of the necessary filings with the government agencies like the SEC. That's tantamount to them accepting their franchise.
If should there be a change of heart, kasi siyempre nag-apply yan and then it takes time to enact a law. Let us say there has been a change of heart while the bill was pending. Yung grantee ayaw na. The grantee can write a letter of non-acceptance. Then para hindi na siya ma-expect to comply with the franchise. Ganun po ba yan? Kasi ang nangyayari, Mr. President, titignan natin sa actions. We will now monitor the subsequent actions of the grantee. Kung kumikilos ba siya to live out the franchise o hindi. And then pag hindi, we will say na hindi pala siya interesado. It's deemed a non-acceptance. What if it's an express non-acceptance? Pwede yan?
Mr. President, it's never happened before. But I suppose that it's true instead of Congress monitoring it. But I guess if we require that of this franchise, then all other franchises will also have to require it as well. I mean,
No, this section is about acceptance in writing.
Correct.
Okay lang yan. Pero, so, ang gusto ko lang sabihin, if there has been a change of heart, yung mga franchisee or grantees, they can siguro categorically and expressly also manifest to Congress, the grantor, that there has been a change of heart. We are no longer interested in the franchise. We are no longer accepting the franchise. Can that be done?
Mr. President,
Hindi siya bawal.
Hindi naman siya
Hindi siya
bawal.
bawal.
Pwede
Sige.
naman.
Sige po. So ganito pong understanding ko, tinatanggal na. So future franchises, alisin din natin ito na. Hindi nahahanapin si acceptance in writing.
Actually, since
Okay.
the 18th Congress, wala na.
Okay. Ano, pero I'm just surprised ba't umabot tayo sa draft na ito, Mr. President, na andyan pa siya.
Oh, actually,
So-
naging template lang siguro, hindi,
So-
hindi tinanggal.
So are we sure about that we stop this since the 18th Congress?
Are we sure? Since the 18th? Yes. So bakit lang?
Pero wala naman effect. Hindi naman, pero okay naman. No need na to accept.
Mr. President, because the House of Representatives used the old template. Although sila rin ang nagpatanggal.
Okay, so we just bring this to their attention siguro, Mr. President. So thank you for the clarification, Mr. President.
Thank you for bringing it up. Oo nga naman, so we don't have to monitor. Well, anyway.
So there's no objection to the amendment? You're all right, Minority Floor Leader? So the amendment is accepted and the amendment is carried.
On page 6, ay, hindi. Ano ba to? Pareho ba? Okay. On page 6, section 18, line 4, delete the clause and replace it with the phrase of existing laws. I so move, Mr. President.
There being objection, amendments approved.
On the same page and section, line 6, replace the last period with a semicolon and insert the phrase and Republic Act number 10531 or the National Electrification Administration Reform Act of 2013. I so move, Mr. President.
There being objection, motion is approved.
There will be no other committee amendments, Mr.
Thank you,
President.
Mr. President. With that, I move that we close the period of committee amendments. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, committee amendments is hereby closed.
Mr. President, I move to open the period of individual amendments and again recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, Senator Grace Poe, and to propose amendments.
There are no committee.
His individual amendments, may we recognize our minority leader, Senator Coco Pimentel III.
Yes, we'd like to recognize a distinguished sponsor once again, Senator Grace Poe, and to propound some amendments is our distinguished minority floor leader.
May I ask for minute suspension, Mr.
Session
President?
suspended for 1 minute.
President, may I just clarify this representation's earlier motion? There are no more individual amendments, and so I move to close the period of individual amendments. I so move, Mr. President.
There being objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 9154, subject to style. I so move, Mr. President.
There being objection, motion is approved.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 9154.
Consideration of the measure suspended.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill number 6295 under Committee Report number 248. This is the bill on the Leyte 2 Electric Cooperative Incorporated, or LEYECO 2. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status of the measure is that we have closed the period of interpellations and debate, and with the consent of the body, I now move to open the period of amendments and recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, Chairperson of the Senate Committee on Public Service, Senator Grace Poe, for her committee amendments.
Our distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. On page 2, section 2, line 14, after the word successor, insert the phrase or the National Electrification Administration, NEA, or its legal successor. I so move.
There being no objection, amendments approved.
On the same page, section 3, line 26, after the word ERC, insert the phrase and NEA. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion, amendments approved.
On the same page and section, line 27, after the word ERC, insert the phrase or the NEA. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
This is almost the same as the last one. On page 4, line 7, insert a new section 8 to read as follows. Section 8. The commitment to provide and promote the creation of employment opportunities. The grantee shall create employment opportunities and shall allow on-the-job trainings in their franchise operation, provided that the priority shall be accorded to the residents where their principal office is located. Provided further that the grantee shall comply with the applicable labor standards and allowance entitlement under existing labor laws, rules, and regulations, and similar issuances. Renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, amendments approved.
On the same page, lines 31 to 36, delete the entire section 11 on acceptance and compliance and renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
On page 6, section 18, line 14, delete the word clause and replace it with the phrase of existing laws. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
On the same page and section, line 16, Replace the last period with a semicolon and insert the phrase, "and Republic Act Number 10531 or the National Electrification Administration Reform Act of 2013. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, amendments are approved.
That's it.
There will be no other committee
With that,
amendments.
Mr. President, I move that we close the period of committee amendments. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, hearing none, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move to open the period of individual amendments and recognize the sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, and if there are colleagues of ours who would like to introduce their individual amendments.
There are no individual
There
amendments.
being none, Mr. President, I move that we close the period of individual amendments. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, with the consent of the body, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 6295. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, House Bill number 6295 is approved on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 6295.
Consideration of the measure is suspended.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we resume consideration of House Bill number 9805 under Committee Report number 249. This is the bill on the Negros Electric and Power Corporation. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status of the measure is that we have closed the period of interpellations and debate. With the consent of the body, I move that we open the period of amendments and recognize the distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, for her committee amendments.
A distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. President. On page 4, lines 16 to 23, delete the entire section 12 on acceptance and compliance and renumber the succeeding sections accordingly. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, the amendment is approved.
There are no other committee amendments, Mr. President.
Mr. President, with that, I move that we close the period of committee amendments.
There being no objection, motion is approved.
Mr. President, I move to open the period of individual amendments and again recognize the distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace Poe, and to propose his individual amendments, I move that we recognize our distinguished minority leader, Senator Coco Pimentel.
Our distinguished minority floor leader is recognized.
Ask for a minute suspension.
Session suspended.
Chair, I move that we recognize the distinguished gentleman from Valenzuela, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, to introduce his individual amendments.
Our distinguished gentleman from Valenzuela, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, is recognized.
Wala naman akong pinalitan. On hiring? Saan? Yes, Mr. President. Okay. Mr. President, on page 2, line 35, delete the letters LY in the word costly. And on the same page, line 36, after the word manner, insert the phrase pursuant to Republic Act number 9136. I so move, Mr. President. Mr. President, if I'm allowed, I will just read the rationale, Mr. President.
Oh, sure, go ahead. But I accept already,
Just to include in the records, Mr. President, to ensure consistent wording with Section 23 of Republic Act number 9136 or the Electric Power Industry Reform Act of 2001, IPIRA. Section 23 of IPIRA states a distribution utility shall have the obligation to supply electricity in the least cost manner to its captive market. So next is on page 2, line 39, replace the word charge with the phrase only incur, and on the same page and line, replace the phrase power rates with the phrase cost for. So move, Mr. President.
We accept, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So there's no objection to the amendment. Amendment is approved.
On page 2, line 44, between the words the and ERC, insert the phrase DOE. So move, Mr. President. DOEN. So move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, right now, there are no qualifications in place. I'm sorry. Actually, Mr. President, yes, we accept that one. I'm sorry, I skipped to the next possible amendment. Yes, we accept.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
There
President.
being no objection, amendments accepted.
On page 2, line 45, replace the phrase "be allowed to avail" with the phrase "if qualified, avail of the exception for." So moved, Mr. President.
Mr. President, we can't accept for now because there are no qualifications in place with the DOE. This is the first time we're having this kind of joint venture ownership from an existing cooperative with an applicant, a private company applicant. So we would rather have the NEA, which is usually the agency involved.
Actually, Mr. President, this only talks about the...
I mean the ERC, as opposed to the DOE.
Actually, Mr. President, we're just talking about the negotiated procurement of emergency power supply. So meaning they will be allowed to avail through the negotiated power procurement if qualified, in short, Mr. President. So it's only stating that if they are qualified, Mr. President.
Mr. President, actually, EPIRA did not really anticipate this kind of transaction. So in the meantime, instead of it including DOE, we would like to retain just the ERC for emergency procurement.
Actually,
the
Mr.
emergency
President,
procurement.
emergency procurement has been promulgated by the DOE already. There's already Department Circular, DC 2003-06-0021, Mr. President. So it's, in fact, all utilities are following this Department Circular, Mr. President.
Mr. President, currently, this is not classified as an emergency procurement. Thus, within this one-year provisional period, just to stabilize the prices of no increase, just 1 year. That's the reason why the DOE is not being considered as the best, probably, department to be able to mitigate the situation for the cost of the procurement.
Are we talking about, Mr. President, the first amendment which was accepted?
No.
On line
If
44?
qualified, avail of the exception for
Oh,
negotiated procurement of emergency power supply under the applicable circulars, rules, or regulations issued by the DOE or the ERC or
Correct,
their
Mr.
legal
President.
successors.
that's why the DOE and ERC have already promulgated rules on negotiated procurement, Mr. President. So we're just making sure that they're qualified. That's it, Mr. President.
But it does not cover this joint venture, Mr. President. It only emergency situations, Mr. President.
Because Mr. President, we're talking about negotiated procurement. So meaning there's no bidding for this matter. So we just want to make sure that even though there's no bidding, they're qualified to undertake negotiated procurement and they're qualified under the rules, Mr. President. That's it.
Mr. President, only for this 1 year period because the bidding actually will take place. The bidding itself, let's say this is an act that the franchise is given, will take still at the minimum 6 months.
Yes, Mr. President. That's why we just specified here, if they're qualified, then they can go through the negotiated procurement of emergency power supply, Mr. President. That's it. We're not saying that they cannot do it.
Mr. President, apparently in the current rules, they will not be qualified under the emergency procurement qualification or criteria.
How come they're not going to be qualified?
It's not force majeure, Mr. President, for now. It's not force majeure, which
But
is
this is
the,
a takeover, Mr. President.
but unfortunately, that the takeover it's a new concept right now, so there are no regulations in place or exceptions within the DOE for such. Ako naman, Mr. President, 1 year to eh. Di ba, we're giving also the joint venture a chance to succeed. So for them, I mean, they're going to be expanding capex. They have to reorganize. They have to put all of the things that they have to in order to make this up and running. So we're giving them that 1 year grace period. And this could also be a template for future joint ventures, Mr. President, that we will find capable of actually being granted a franchise, qualified rather.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I don't accept for now. I'm
Thank
sorry,
you
Mr.
for that,
President.
Mr. President. 1 minute suspension, Mr. President.
Session suspended.
7 to 48. Delete the phrase allowing emergency procurement. So move, Mr. President.
I accept, Mr. President. Allowing emergency procurement. Could you repeat that? On line 47.
Yeah, on page 2, lines 47 to 48, delete the phrase allowing emergency procurement.
Mr. President, I think that's connected to the withdrawn amendment.
Yeah.
Allowing emergency procurement.
Yeah.
And we already...
Yes, Mr. President, I withdraw that amendment as well, Mr. President,
Okay,
because that's
thank you, Mr.
connected to the
President.
first amendment. So, Mr. President, the next will be on page 2, line 49. After the word "year," insert the phrase "and are non-extendable." So move, Mr. President.
I accept, Mr. President.
There being no objection, amendments accepted.
Thank you to the good sponsor. On page 44, on page 4, line 44, before the word Congress, insert the phrase, the grantee shall seek the prior approval of. In the same page and line, delete the phrase, shall be informed. So move, Mr. President. I think that was a discussion earlier by the good minority leader.
Mr. President. Mr. President, it's already in the previous sentence before this that the grantee shall seek the prior approval of Congress.
Because, Mr. President, what we are deleting is the word or the words shall be informed. So just to be consistent, Mr. President, we amended the provision so that the grantee will seek prior approval of Congress for
Okay.
any sale, lease, transfer of the franchise.
We will accept, Mr. President. I know this is done also just to ensure that the franchisee is actually compliant.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Madam Sponsor.
Therefore, this the amendment accepted or?
It's accepted.
Amendment is accepted.
On page 4, line 46, replace the word after with the word before. So move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, could you repeat that again on page
On page 4,
4?
line 46,
What section is that? Page 4, line 46,
section 15, Mr. President.
section 15. And then what will it? How will it read?
Replace the word after with the word before. So it will read, provided that the grantee shall seek the prior approval of Congress of any sale, lease, transfer, grant of usufruct of, or assignment of the franchise or the rights and privileges acquired thereunder, or of the merger or transfer of the controlling interest within 60 days before the completion of the said transaction, Mr. President. So just to be consistent that it's before the transaction.
Yeah, we accept, Mr. President.
Thank you, Madam Sponsor.
There being no objection and accepted by the sponsor, amendments accepted.
On page 4, lines 48 to 49, replace the phrase report to with the phrase seek prior approval from. So move, Mr. President.
We accept, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr.
The
President.
amendments accepted.
On page 4, line 49, insert the word of after the word Congress. So move, Mr. President.
We accept, Mr. President.
Just a
There being no objection,
Sliding,
amendments
Mr. President.
accepted.
page 5. Corporation. Insert the word saan siya? Okay. Okay. All right. Mr. President, on page 5, line 9, before the word corporation, insert the phrase publicly listed. So move, Mr. President.
Anterior amendment, Mr. President.
Yes, our Deputy Minority Floor Leader is recognized.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President, with the indulgence of the gentleman from Valenzuela and our good sponsor. I would like to propose an amendment to Section 16. The current version, Section 16, dispersal of ownership, reads, in accordance with the constitutional provision to encourage public participation in public utilities, the grantee shall offer to the public, specifically Filipino citizens, at least 20% or a higher percentage that may hereafter be provided by law of its outstanding capital stock in any securities exchange in the Philippines within 5 years from the grant of its CPCN by the ERC, provided that, in cases where a public offer of shares is not applicable, other methods of encouraging public participation by citizens and corporations operating public utilities must be implemented. Provided further that ownership by the Central Negros Electric Cooperative Inc., Seneco, or its successor cooperative or corporation of at least 20% of the outstanding capital stock of the grantee shall be deemed a compliance with the dispersal of ownership requirement. Mr. President, the joint venture of Seneco and NEPC retains 30% ownership of Seneco to the franchise. That last sentence actually renders the rest of the preceding section irrelevant or without meaning. Parang nakadiscount yung grantee sa kanilang obligasyon in spirit under the Constitution and in letter under the laws. So, Mr. President, good sponsor, I have an amendment in Section 16 on page 5, line 8. I move to delete the last sentence that reads, provided further that ownership by the Central Negros Electric Cooperative Inc., Seneco, or its successor cooperative or corporation of at least 20% of the outstanding capital stock of the grantee shall be deemed a compliance with the dispersal of ownership requirement. I so move, Mr. President.
We listen to the sponsor. Session suspended for a minute.
That investment that has to come out also of the investor. For now, they're already compliant with the 30% inclusion of their stock ownership. So, Mr. President, unfortunately, I cannot accept this proposed amendment.
Thank you, Mr. President, good sponsor. For the record, the way the Section 16 dispersal of ownership stands at the moment, yun yung pamagat niya, dispersal of ownership, but the current and retained formulation is anti-dispersal of ownership. And hindi naman siguro pwedeng i-cite yung investment dahil kaya nga gustong pumasok yung grantee ay dahil mag-i-invest siya ng malaki sa operations di umano. And that should include at dapat na ikuwenta nakasama both yung compliance sa sinasabi nilang joint venture agreement vis-a-vis Seneco at yung kanilang obligations under the law and the spirit of the Constitution sa dispersal of ownership. For the record, Mr. President. Salamat kayo, Mr. President, and thank you to the good sponsor and the good gentleman from Valenzuela.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Risa, and to the good sponsor. So, Mr. President, continue my amendment.
Yes.
On page 5, line 9, before the word corporation, insert the phrase publicly listed. So move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, Seneco cannot, it will be too difficult for Seneco to be publicly listed. Also, the other cooperatives that own these franchises are not also publicly listed, Mr. President. So unfortunately, I cannot accept the amendment.
But Mr. President, we're just adding another feature to the ownership of Seneco. as a publicly listed corporation, Mr. President. So,
Mr. President,
this is to improve transparency and also to stay with the true essence of a public utility to disperse ownership to the public, Mr. President.
Mr. President, Seneco can never be able to comply with the requirements of being a publicly listed company. Number one, the consumer owners of the stock already have their stocks, and the provision of a cooperative is that the ones that are being serviced are the ones that own it. So you cannot sell their stock because they actually have to be clients also of that cooperative. So unfortunately, I cannot accept.
Considered as compliance with the 20% public listing requirement, Mr. President. So, in other words, Mr. President, if Seneco remains private, so the ownership dispersal of the entire NEPC will not comply with the 20% publicly listed ownership, Mr. President. So we just added one form, Mr. President, as a publicly listed corporation. So it can be private, but it can be public also, Mr. President, as long as it satisfies the 20% ownership dispersal, Mr. President.
Mr. President, just also for the record, publicly listing requires 50 million annual income and 300 million profit for 3 years. And Seneco itself will never be able to comply with such. I know that there's an option here of either private or public, but then we just don't want, the word publicly listed included anymore because it might also create some confusion eventually.
With that rationale, Mr. President, I'm withdrawing my amendment, Mr. President. But let me just put on record the rationale of this proposal, Mr. President.
Thank you. Thank you for the...
Mr. President, before we leave the
Yes.
subject matter of Section 16, dispersal of ownership, does it mean, Mr. President, that from the very start, as written, the grantee is already compliant with the requirement of dispersal of ownership from the very start? Nobody needs to do anything. Compliant na sila.
Yes, Mr. President, with the 30% ownership for Seneco, they are already compliant with the public dispersal of...
Kasi meron pa tayo ritong last sentence, non-compliance with this section shall render the franchise ipso facto revoked. So, how can this section be violated, Mr. President?
If Seneco drops below 20%, Mr. President. So right
Kaya nga,
now, 30%
siya.
sila.
Sa start, 30 na siya, so compliant na nga lahat.
Compliant.
So, ang akala ko kasing mandate ng Constitution na the more public participation in the stockholdings of the public utility, the better, Mr. President. So, sa ngayon, from the very start, there will be basically two major stockholders, Seneco and its JVA partner.
Yes, Mr. President.
And they do not need to do anything, compliant na sila sa section na tinatawag nating dispersal of ownership.
Yes, as long as Seneco doesn't go below 20%. Yes, they are.
Lampas nga siya ngayon, 30 siya.
Lagpas.
So, I do not know if the spirit is the spirit of dispersal of ownership is being complied with here, Mr. President. Ito po ba in other franchises, meron ito, but meron ba tayong sinasabi doon na yung current ownership is already compliant? I mean, we never did this with other franchises.
Mr. President, if the current owner is publicly listed, but actually, when you look at Seneco, they have actually 100,000 members, Mr. President. So
Yes,
it's a
may I add to that,
20%.
Your Honor, with the permission of the sponsor.
Yes.
Being chairman before for a long time of the Committee on Cooperatives, electric cooperatives, although not registered with the CDA, that are registered with the NEA, technically, they're all owned by the individual connectee or yung may-ari po ng tawag dito, yung kwentador ba yun? O yung parang electric kwentador. They're basically the owners of the company. So they how do you say this, comply with the public ownership portion of the franchise. And so they comply. If you are seeking my humble opinion, compliant sila dun sa 20% kasi 100% owned by the dapat yan consumers. So no need for them to go to the SEC for
To register.
to register and to go public.
Yes.
Because they're owned by the individual
Actually, subscribers eh.
subscribers.
Oo.
Correct. Ibang animal kasi yung cooperative.
So thank you
Animal.
for that clarification, Mr. President. Pero on paper, if you look at the papers now of the grantee, there will practically be just two shareholders, although juridical entities sila. Yun lang sinasabi natin na yung the Seneco is must have 100,000 100,000 ba? Seneco.
About
Seneco,
100,000
MCOs,
or more. 178,000.
customers or yes, but yun ang basic question, Mr. President, is this really the dispersal of ownership required by the Constitution? Anyway, I'm not proposing any amendment. It was just a clarificatory question so that we can form our own amendments later, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please proceed.
Thank you for that interjection, Mr. President. Well, Mr. President, I have a twin amendment, Mr. President. So I'll read both amendments at the same time. On page 5, delete lines 13 to 17 and delete a portion of line 18, starting the word already and ending with the word that. Then on page 5, line 24, after the word requirement, insert the following paragraph. Provided that, in the event the ERC allows the reasonable extension of 5-year period, the holding of persons, natural or juridical, including directors, officers, stockholders, and related interests in the grantee and its respective holding company, if any, shall not exceed 25% of the voting shares of stock, unless the utility or the holding company holding the shares or its controlling shareholders are listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange Incorporated, are already listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange Incorporated, PSE. And so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, unfortunately, I cannot accept this amendment because this will nullify the. It will nullify the reason for the extension needed to comply with the dispersal of ownership.
Mr. President, we rearranged it to give importance to the application first. Because if you read it, it actually started with the reason for extension. I think the essence here is you have to apply. And before, you have to apply, and then if granted, then you can extend. If not, then the reasons following, Mr. President. So we just rearrange it to give importance to the application of the grantee, Mr. President. So in essence, it's the same, Mr. President.
Mr. President, actually, this is almost in anticipation that that there's non-compliance. But then, Moore cannot really go down, decrease its ownership immediately when they're still trying to actually get it off the ground, and the guarantee for that is at least they have 70% ownership. So what we're trying to say here is that in the event of already at this point, if we do that, then it will nullify also the reason for the extension for the dispersal of ownership.
Mr. President, I don't see the significant difference, Mr. President, because what we are after here is the application should proceed first, Mr. President. So that is what we are after. And then, of course, there's a provision here that if they want to be extended, they can apply for extension, Mr. President. So that is the essence. But they have to apply first, Mr. President. So that's the essence of this proposal, Mr. President.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I cannot accept the. I mean, for me, I don't find it necessary to accept this amendment. Although if you would like to suspend, so we can, per colleague from Valenzuela, on the other hand, he would like to put on record his rationale for proposing it in the first place.
Mr.
Yes.
President, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, after conferring with the good sponsor, Mr. President, I'm withdrawing this proposal, but I am spreading into the records the rationale of this proposal. Mr. President, we don't want a scenario wherein it will be in the ownership dispersal will be indefinite. So we just want to make sure that the ownership dispersal will be is time bound, and the public can join in the management as well as in the management and in the operations and discussion of the company, Mr. President, thereby improving transparency, improving public participation, and of course participating in any proceeds that will happen in the future, Mr. President. So that's the rationale why we are proposing that amendment, Mr. President.
Noted, Mr.
Yes,
President.
we take note of that, for the record.
So, Mr. President, on page 5, line 46 to 47, replace the phrase accord preference to hiring with the word hire, Mr. President. So move.
We accept, Mr. President.
The amendment's accepted.
Mr. President, on page 6, lines 4 to 10, replace the paragraph starting with the word applicable on line 4 and ending with the word utilities on line 10, with the paragraph which reads as follows. Grantee shall comply with the system loss cap prescribed for private distribution utilities within a transition period determined by the ERC, provided that such transition period shall not exceed 5 years from the grant of the grantee's CPCN. Provided further that within 6 months from the issuance of the CPCN, the grantee shall submit to the ERC a proposed implementation strategy, including the estimated rate impact on consumers to achieve the prescribed system loss cap within such transition period. So move, Mr. President.
We accept, Mr. President.
There be an objection, amendment's accepted.
I thank you. I thank the good sponsor, Mr. President. That's it for this representation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, our distinguished colleague, Senator Kichayan.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I believe there are no more amendments.
Mr. President,
Senator,
next to introduce her individual amendments, the distinguished Deputy Minority Leader Senator Risa Ontiveros. I move that she be
yes,
recognized.
we
Mr.
recognize Senator Risa Ontiveros.
Salamat tayo, Mr. President. Good sponsor, just one more proposed amendment to this franchise bill, an amendment to Section 18. The current version reads, Section 18, commit to provide and promote the creation of employment opportunities. The grantee shall create employment opportunities and shall allow on-the-job trainings in their franchise operations, provided that priority shall be accorded to the residents of the franchise area. Provided further that the grantee shall follow the applicable labor standards and allowance entitlement under existing labor laws, rules and regulations, and similar issuances. Provided finally that the employment opportunities or jobs created shall be reflected in the General Information Sheet, GIS, to be submitted to the SEC annually. My proposed amendment, Mr. President, is to uphold the security of tenure of the displaced Seneco employees. The right of the employees to security of tenure is of greater value, even than the commitment of jobs by the grantee. On page 6, line 13, after the phrase "the grantee," I move to insert a new sentence that shall read, shall ensure the security of tenure of Seneco employees as provided by law and relevant jurisprudence. Additionally, the grantee, so that the new Section 18 shall now read, Section 18, commit to provide and promote the creation of employment opportunities. The grantee shall ensure the security of tenure of Seneco employees as provided by law and relevant jurisprudence. Additionally, the grantee shall create employment opportunities and shall allow on-the-job trainings in their franchise operations, provided that priority shall be accorded to the residents of the franchise area. Provided further that the grantee shall follow the applicable labor standards and allowance entitlement under existing labor laws, rules and regulations, and similar issuances. Provided finally that the employment opportunities or jobs created shall be reflected in the General Information Sheet, GIS, to be submitted to the SEC annually. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I regret that we cannot accept because the grantee plans to rationalize the compensation package of the new company to match industry standards. However, we have a proposed amendment on this which reads, on page 6, section 18, line 15, delete the phrase residents of the franchise area and replace it with the following: employees of Central Negros Electric Cooperative Inc., Seneco, who shall enjoy the same allowances and benefits received by the employees of the grantee with the same qualifications and job description. So that, Mr. President, is what we put. But however, also, I would like to remind our colleague here that one of the things that was given to the employees is that they will be given their retirement package and their severance package. So if they're not able to have their tenure, and also remember, Mr. President, when a company is bankrupt, for example, or in this case, you can't really also honor the tenure of an employee, but you cannot really close a company unless you give them their severance. So in this case, the severance will be given to them, but a brand new company is taking over, so you cannot really impose that the same position and the same arrangement will be accorded under a new management and company.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good sponsor. This is supposed to be a joint venture agreement. Kahit na hindi dumaan yun sa General Assembly ng Seneco. Sinabi ng good sponsor that the compensation package will be rationalized to match industry standards. So mukhang may posible pang pagbaba ng mga sweldo at iba pa sa mga magiging empleyado ng kumpanya. The good sponsor mentioned a proposed amendment to the amendment, but mentioning allowances and benefits, not mentioning the all-important salaries, which is the basic right of employees. Employees na matagal nang nag-enjoy ng security of tenure at gustong patuloy na mag-enjoy nitong security of tenure sa kumpanya. I-welcome siguro nila yung retirement and severance package na binanggit ng good sponsor kung balak sana nilang mag-retire na at mapahiwalay sa kumpanya. Pero hindi nga po Gusto po nila magpatuloy bilang mga empleyado, kaya po ipinaglalaban nila yung security of tenure. So, thanks again to Mr. President and the good sponsor. Mr. President, I would like to divide the House on this issue.
Mr. President?
It's suspended.
Yeah.
The distinguished sponsor, Senator Grace po. And so, the next course of action is to divide the House, Mr. President.
Yes. Yes, Deputy Minority Floor Leaders recognized.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President. Just one more note to add to my appeal, to our colleagues here in this chamber. The Senate, the Senate, passed the Security of Tenure Bill during the time of the former President. Vinito lang ng dating Presidente. So ito pong pagbobotohan natin para ito sa mga walang Security of Tenure na manggagawa. Itong mga nasa Seneco, 400 plus lamang na katao, na palagay ko kayang-kayang ipagpatuloy ang empleyo sa kumpanya, itong sa Seneco ay enjoying Security of Tenure na. Tapos mawawala. Hindi naman yata tama ito. At saka parang hindi consistent sa trabahong ginawa na natin sa Senado, nagpasa tayo ng Security of Tenure Bill. So that's my last note on my appeal, Mr. President, before we divide the House. Let's vote for Security of Tenure. Kung hindi pa sa pambansa, dito para sa Seneco employees. Salamat kaayo, Mr. President.
Thank you. Would the sponsor like to comment?
Yeah, Mr. President, first of all, tenure was respected by the cooperative. But the reality is, this is now a different company. Even if, let's say, it's a joint venture, it's formed under a different corporation. Now, what I'm looking at, number one, the employees of Seneco will be given due severance pay based on the number of years that they've been serving the cooperative. Number two, they can reapply. But the reality also is we're trying to encourage more investments to come in the country. If we'll say we'll absorb everything and not honor, but because they have tenure in this one company, whoever takes over will have to take on the tenure of the others, we will never be attractive to other investors. And what we're looking at is to create, not just to save the 450 jobs, which eventually they can still reapply for the job. Number two, it's to think of the wider expansion of business in Bacolod and other parts of the country, because other companies will see that we are reasonable, that we are not imposing based on political accommodation or to what do you call this, just because of the climate that we're at. We are also trying to be business friendly because being so will not only make this venture successful but other ventures in the future. So, Mr. President, I understand and I thank also our colleague Senator Risa for bringing this up. But we are doing this because we are thinking of the long term, not just for now, but the precedent it will create. So unfortunately, I cannot at this point accept the proposal.
Final words, siguro, so we can proceed with the, there's still a pending motion to divide the House. Yes,
Salamat
please.
tayo, Mr. President. I will be very brief. Isang huling punto na lamang po. Hindi po ito political accommodation. Naipasa na po natin ang security of tenure. It was the sense of the Senate. It was the legislative priority of the Senate. Na bito man ng dating presidente, here now we have a chance to stake a claim for security of tenure sa ilan sa mga empleyado natin. Just 400 people. So hindi po ito political accommodation, ito po ay isang rights-based na proposed amendment, and it is not contradictory to being business-friendly. In fact, ang kooperatiba po ay isang forma ng economic organization. At yung mga empleyado ng kooperatibang ito gustong magpatuloy magtrabaho sa kumpanya.
At
I
Mr.
finally
President,
appeal to
pwede
our
silang
colleagues to vote for
magtrabaho
that.
uli sa kumpanya na yan. And number two, what we're saying is, this is a different company altogether now. There's just already, even the ownership of Seneco is at, which is compliant with the rules that we have, is 30%. So what we're saying is, kahit na bagong kumpanya, yung tenure, alam niyo, Mr. President, kaya nga hindi magsara-sara ang isang network na nawala ng prangkisa dahil walang pambayad ng severance pay. Ito nga magbibigay ng severance, plus they can reapply for the job that they have. Now, when we're saying, we also have to be very practical. Mr. President, ang sweldo nila, okay, maganda mataas ang sweldo nila, pero talo pa nga nila yung sweldo dito sa Meralco eh. Na iba din yung, I mean, what I'm saying is, we need to standardize also, di ba? Parang, Mr. President, my conscience is clear here.
Yes.
I want to protect the jobs also of these people and our workers in Bacolod. My mom is from Bacolod. They can reapply for their jobs, plus they can get money in their pocket. Ito kaagad-agad, yung pera nasa inyo na, at mag-a-apply kayo. Eh kung matino ka sa trabaho, sa tingin mo ba hindi ka kukunin uli para magtrabaho doon? So Mr. President, again, we can debate here all night. But I think the lady already from Capiz has made her point, and we can now divide the House.
Yes, Senate Majority Leader,
Yes,
please
Mr.
make the
President.
motion.
Therefore, Mr. President, perhaps those who are in favor of the motion or the amendment of the distinguished Deputy Minority Leader would...
Mr. President, can the result of the voting be announced? The result.
If there are 14, I only saw 2 raising of hands for the approval of the amendment. So it means 12 versus 4, 12 versus 2. Am I correct with my mathematics? Yes. 2 are in the negative, 12 negative votes. Therefore, the amendment is lost. Yes, Majority
Mr.
Leader.
President, there being no other individual amendments.
Wala na, ako wala na.
Mr. President, next to introduce his individual amendments is the distinguished Minority Leader. I move that he be recognized, Mr. President.
Distinguished Minority Floor Leaders recognized.
Meron ba kayo battery pack dyan?
Since we are still fresh on the topic of the employees, if I can just start with that topic, Mr. President. On page 5, line 48, which is the 4th paragraph, if we can replace the period with a semicolon and add the phrase, provided that in the absorption of former Seneco employees, there shall be no division of rank, salaries, benefits, or rights previously enjoyed by these employees.
I can't accept, Mr. President.
You cannot?
No, because what's going to happen, Your Honor, they'll be hiring people with lower salaries. Kasi that's the industry standard. So magkakaroon ng salary imbalance or
Battery pack.
fixed distortion.
No, Mr.
Salary
President,
distortion.
bagong company nga ito eh. So they're starting afresh, Mr. President. Wala siguro tong wage distortion. Pero akala ko pinagmamayabang natin kanina na mataas yung salaries nila. Tapos, once they're terminated and then they are rehired, baka mag-start sila sa lower salary than their previous salary, Mr. President. Is that the plan or...
Industry standards, Mr. President. So whatever, as I've mentioned earlier, whatever they're capable of based on their specialty, there's a salary grade for each of that. So like how much a lawyer will be here. But again, as your colleague has mentioned, the security of tenure, that's why we're making up for it by giving them already their severance ahead of time.
Yes, this is a new matter, Mr. President. Ito yung sa mga marirehire to be absorbed. Okay na, those who accepted severance pay, they will all get
They'll all
severance
be getting
pay.
severance pay. They'll start
And
from
then
scratch.
maybe all will apply, but not all will be accepted. But those to be accepted, should we allow them to start at a lower salary than the one they were getting from Seneco, their former employer, Mr. President?
Let me just add, I think that's the option of the new company if they want to do that or
Yes,
not.
Mr. President.
Kasi hindi naman to government agency, Your Honor. The complaint of many cooperatives, the complaint about many cooperatives is they are using too much of the funds for salaries and allowances of their staff together with board of directors and all, na hindi nila binabalik yung pera sa expansion, the modernization of their equipment, na pupunta lahat sa salaries and allowances, Your Honor. So I understand the position of the new company in the fact that they want to streamline this so that the income of the said new electric entity will actually go to the expansion and the modernization of their lines. So I think there will be a salary distortion that the new hiree that they're going to get will be getting less than those who are working and absorbed by the company. So parang baka magulat yung magkakaproblema talaga siguro dyan.
Yes, because siyempre, more experience na po ito eh. Galing na ito sa... And maybe older. This will be older than their new hires. But that's the spirit of the amendment which has been rejected by our sponsor. Tama po, no? It has been rejected. Sige po.
Thank you.
So I will no longer appeal that to the body because I already know the result, Mr. President. So siguro this one is the... Now, on the right of eminent domain, I think I raised this during the interpellation. So if we can go to section 10, which is found on page 3, line 42. If we can replace the word power with the word right, because I looked at the two other franchise bills we just approved, we used the word right in the title
We accept,
as well
Mr.
as right in
President.
the body. Okay,
We
thank you.
accept.
So amendments
Thank
accepted.
Thank you.
For
On the
record.
same
Subject to style.
on same page, lines 49 to 54, same page and section, I propose that we delete the phrase including but not limited to, starting with that with those words, up to the words franchise area, Mr. President.
We accept.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, amendments accepted.
This is an attempt to make our right of eminent domain section more familiar and more similar to the other franchise bills, Mr. President. And then, Mr. President, on page 3, line 55 until page 4, line 9, I propose that we delete the phrase provided further up to the words assessed value. The objective is the same, Mr. President,
We accept,
to
Mr.
normalize the section. Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
President.
amendments accepted. Thank you, Majority.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are no other individual amendments, Mr. President. I now move to close the period of individual amendments. I so move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, the motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture and with the consent of the body, I move that we approve on second reading House Bill number 9805. So move, Mr. President.
There being no objection, motion is approved. House Bill number 9805 is approved on second reading.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move that we suspend consideration of House Bill number 9805.
Consideration suspended.
President, I move for a minute suspension.
No objection, amendments approved.
Thank you. That is all, Mr. President.
Majority Leader.
Mr. President,
Yes, Minority Leader.
I'm going to propose amendments, but one concerns the essence of the bill, which is money muling, Mr. President. If I could ask for the suspension of the interpellation so I can submit the definition so the sponsor can study. The other amendments would be on the penalties, which we can. I'm not yet ready to propose them, but we can do them after the money muling, Mr. President. So my proposal is if we could suspend consideration of the bill, we'll continue. We'll continue tomorrow, Mr. President, tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
With the concurrence of the distinguished sponsor, Mr. President, we have no problem with the proposal of our minority leader. So with that, Mr. President,
Before we suspend, may I just ask the sponsor, Senator Villar, because it says here to amend, there's several names here written down. Are these already waived because you already read their amendments? They introduced their amendments, or shall they be introducing amendments as well? Senator Villar.
Yes, they submitted to us, so they...
So Senator Escudero, Senator Gatchalian will no longer propose amendments. Okay, so we can clean up the list. Thank you very much. So who are they? Senators Escudero, Gatchalian,
Legarda.
and Legarda. So what is remaining is Senator Ontiveros and Senator Pimentel. Thank you very much. Just for the record.
Senator Ontiveros.
you want to do it now, please, or tomorrow?
So pwede nyo natanggalin yung mga pangalan na yan. Dalawang yun. So are there any amendments today by Senator Hontiveros, or? Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. President, I was informed by our Deputy Minority Leader that she will also introduce her amendments the day that the Minority Leader will propose his individual amendments.
All right.
If that's okay with the sponsor.
Okay. So there's a motion.
Yes, that is okay, Majority. Mr.
Thank you.
President.
Mr. President, with that, I move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2560. So move, Mr. President.
There have been no objection. Motion is approved.
Mr. President, at this juncture, I move that we resume consideration of Senate Bill number 2501 under Committee Report number 173. This is the bill providing new separation, retirement, and pension system for the military and the uniformed personnel. I so move, Mr. President.
There have been no objection. Motion is approved.
Mr. President, the parliamentary status of the measure is that we are still in the period of interpellations and debate, and so with the consent of the body, I move to resume the period of interpellation and recognize the distinguished sponsor of the measure, Senator Jinggoy Ejercito Estrada, and to interpellate the gentleman from Davao and Batangas, Senator Christopher Lawrence Bongo. So move, Mr.
Yes, a
President.
distinguished sponsor, the chairperson of the Committee on National Defense, the Honorable Senator Jinggoy Estrada, and to interpolate a distinguished colleague from Davao and Batangas, Senator Christopher Bongo.
Mr. President, first of all, for the record, I have always been supportive of our military and uniformed personnel. Buhay po ang isinakripisyo nila para mapanatili ang seguridad ng bansa. Iba po ang sakripisyo nila dahil buhay po ang nakataya dito. Kaya dapat pag-aralan ng mabuti ang pension reform bill. Mr. President, let me reiterate, no? Tinaasan natin ang sahod ng uniform personnel noong panahon ni dating Pangulong Duterte. 2018, maalala ko, no, na doble po ang sahod nila, ang entry position level. Pinaghirapan natin ito kasama po ang ating Senate President, no? Dahil isa po ito sa pinangako na madoble nga, and it was implemented in 2018. Ako mismo, saksi po ako dito at pinaghirapan natin ito at naisakatuparan. At ayaw naman natin, no, na low moral lang ating mga military at uniform personnel. Babalitaan ko may mga ang iba nag-file ng early retirement. Hindi po ako sang-ayon doon sa kung masasayang ang pinaghirapan nating dagdag sahod na yon. Huwag naman po sana tayo bigay bawi dahil dinoble nga ngayon. Kailangan nilang retired and inactive should not be affected. Karamihan sa kanila ay may pinaglaanan na ng pera, expecting na matatanggap nila once they retire. Binigay na natin sa kanila, yung iba nakaplano na, nangutang na, nakalaan na po para sa gamot, nakapag-loan na, nag-installment na po para sa future ng kanilang anak. Nakaplano lahat yan. Sabi ko nga, kung ikakalta sa sundalo, katumbas na yan ng isang sakong bigas na pwede nang ipakain ng ordinaryong sundalo sa pamilya nila. Malaking bagay yan para sa kanila. Ang daming natatakot at nangangamba na galawin ang pension nila, kaya nag-early retirement. Last year po yata, medyo mataas ang numero kumpara po ngayong taon. Kaya wag sana nating baguhin ang sistema para sa kanila sa kalagitnaan. Wag nating pahirapan ang mga sundalo, pulis at iba pang uniform personnel dahil buhay po ang sinakripisyo nila sa kanilang pagsiservisyo sa bayan. On that note, Mr. President.
If I may respond, Mr. President. Kaya naman po, marami nagkaroon ng nag-avail ng early retirement nung araw sapagkat meron mga haka-haka. Kumbaga, kung maipapasa itong batas na ito, papatawan ng kontribusyon yung mga active military service, yung nasa active military service, so kasama rin po yung mga ibang MUPs. Kaya siguro, marami po ang nag-avail ng early retirement, no? Pero ngayon, ina-assure ko po sa inyo at sa taong bayan, sa lahat ng mga MUPs na hindi po sila maapektuhan.
So, para matapos na yung matuldukan na yung mga agam-agam dito, Mr. President, so ina-assure nyo sa ating mga sundalo at uniform personnel na hindi sila maapektuhan dito. Hindi maapektuhan ang active at ang retired personnel, uniform personnel natin, Mr. President.
At totoo po yan, hindi po there will be no change in pension for the current pensioners in active service. Hindi po gagalawin at lalong hindi po ibababa ng isinusulong natin panukalang batas ang pensyon ng mga pensionadong retirado. Andyan pa rin yung tinatawag nating automatic indexation. Wala rin pong magiging pagbaba sa inaasahan pensyon ng kasulukuyang mga nasa serbisyo. Kung ano po ang inaasahan nilang matanggap mula nung sila po ay pumasok sa serbisyo, yun pa rin po ang kanilang matatanggap. Malinaw po yan. At sa katunayan, may pinapanukala po ditong annual base pay increase para sa mga nasa active service at pagtaas sa maximum na 90% para sa ilang MUP agencies. Ilan po? Pangulo?
Ito, Mr. President, nasa screen, yung mga iba dyan, kalahati, nag-early retirement na sila kasi natakot sila. Pero may naiwan pa dyan na hindi nag-retire.
Hindi po sila nag-50, nag-early retirement sila. Wala pa naman tayong batas na ipinasa nung araw.
Yung iba nakapag-serve na ng 25 years, gusto na nilang mag-enjoy sa buhay nila. Pero kalahati dyan, nag-retire, natakot. Yung kalahati dyan, active pa rin. So, nakasalalay ngayon yung kalahati dyan sa batas na sinusulong po ng ating...
Asahan po nila na wala pong magagalaw. At kung ano po natatanggap nila ngayon, yun pa rin ang kanilang matatanggap. At tinatanong niyo po sa akin kung maapektuhan po sila. Opo, maapektuhan sila sa magandang paraan naman. Katulad ng salary increase, kasama na rin po yung automatic indexation ng Ginoong Pangulo.
Mr. President, I laud the good sponsor in his endeavor to come up with a measure that would reflect the position. During the budget interpellations of the Department of National Defense, I inquired about the position of the DND on the proposed pension reform, particularly on the mandatory contributions. Senator Bato de la Rosa, who sponsored the DND budget, conferred with the Secretary Gibo Chudoro and informed the body that the position of the DND Secretary is even more noble. He disapproves of mandatory contributions even for new entrants. May I know what is the official position now of the DND?
Well, I think he has already changed his mind, Mr. President. The official position right now of the DND is the same as what I have stated in the current bill, that only new entrants will be contributing to the pension system, and they will be contributing 7%. 7% for the new entrants only. Unlike the other MUPs na ang i-contribute nila ay 9%. Kaya ako naman sinasabi 7% lang po yung nasa military service dahil marami pa ho silang mga assets. Katulad nga nung pagsagot ko sa nung nakaraang linggo doon sa kay Senator Bong Revilla at kay Senator Bato de la Rosa. Ganoon din po ang kanilang tinanong po sa akin. Yung mga new entrants lang ang papatawan ng contribution.
So, ibig sabihin, bago sila pumirma,
Alam
na nila.
Opo.
Mr. President, by way of compromise, the committee deemed it wise to just limit the mandatory contributions to new entrants. May we know how this will affect the recruitment in military and uniform services? Hindi ba tayo mahirapan mag-recruit kung hindi na gaano ka-attractive ang retirement benefits ng military and uniform personnel para sa new entrants? Hindi lang po sa military at police, kasama na po dyan ang Coast Guard, na crucial na dapat ay palakasin natin, dagdagan pa natin. In fact, nag-file ako ng nag-file din po ako ng modernization ng Bureau ng Coast Guard, ng Philippine Coast Guard. Kasama rin po ang BFP, BJMP at Bucor. Ilan na ba ang nag-retire at nag-file sa ngayon? So, hindi ba apektado? Kung sakasakaling apektado ang ating mga new entrants, hindi apektado yung recruitment?
Bigyan mo sa akin numbers. Just a minute, Mr. President. Ito. Ang retirees per year, Mr. President, this is estimated based on previous years, Mr. President. Sa Philippine National Police, we have a total of 4,247. Armed Forces of the Philippines, 3,760. Philippine Coast Guard, 2,728. Bureau of Fire Protection, 509. Bureau of Jail Management Penology, 298. Bureau of Corrections, 76. And NAMRIA, 38. For a total of 11,656. Ngayon, doon naman sa mga new entrants. Yung kanina. Base po sa aming mga naging konsultasyon sa mga iba't ibang mga ahensya ng MUPs, ang mga new entrants, estimated lang po ito, Ginong Pangulo, sa Philippine National Police, merong mga nag-apply mga 10,000, more than 10,000. Sa Armed Forces of the Philippines, mahigit kumulang na 13,000. Sa Bureau of Fire, 2,000. Sa Philippine Coast Guard, 4,000. Sa BJMP, 2,000. Sa Bucor, 1,000. At sa NAMRIA, 57,000 for a total of approximately 32,000 new entrants, Mr. President.
So hindi naman po bumababa ang...
Hindi naman po. Hindi naman po. Dahil simulat sa poll, alam na nila kung maisasabatas po itong ating panukalang batas, alam na po nila na talaga papatawan sila ng contribution, Ginoong Pangulo.
During the hearing, nalaman natin na tumaas ang bilang ng mga nag-avail ng optional retirement dahil sa pangamba nito sa proposed new pension system. May mga nakausap din tayo na ilang mga MUP na talagang kabado sila dahil maaaring galawin ang kanilang pension. At nasagot niyo po kanina ito, importante rito ay mabigyan natin sila ng peace of mind. No? Can the good sponsors spread once again into the record? Bakit hindi nila kailangang mangamba? At ilan na ho ba sa ngayon since 2022, 2023 at presently 2024 ang nag-file ng optional retirement?
Meron kong data. Well, doon sa sinasabi niyo pong pangamba, lagi ko na po sinasabi sa lahat ng mga nagtatanong po sa akin, nag-interpolate po sa akin, wala po silang dapat ipangamba. Dahil kung ano po ang sweldo nila, inulit ko, yun pa rin po ang matatanggap nila. I will bet my balls on it, Mr. President. At kukunin ko lang po yung mga datos, yung mga hinahanap ko pong datos. Ito. Mr. President, as far as the Philippine National Police is concerned, in the year 2020, 2,069 has availed of the optional retirement. 2021, 2,508. In the year 2022, 2,520. 2023, as of February 29, 3,323. And as of 2024, February of 2024, 1,348 availed of the optional retirement for a total of 11,768. That is as far as PNP is concerned.
PNP ito?
Yes, Philippine
How about
National Police.
Armed Forces?
As far as the Armed Forces of the Philippines is concerned, anong year to? Year 2023, there's a total of 384 who availed of the compulsory retirement. And the year 2024, hindi pa tapos ang 2024. Anong month ba to? As of what month? Ito. Okay, let me start on 2013. Ante, anong year po hiningi ninyo, Ginoong Pangulo?
22, 23, 24.
Okay. In the year 2022, there was a total of 466 who availed of the compulsory retirement. Tama, no? In the year 2023, there were 384. And in the year 2024, anong buwan to? As we speak, there were 61 already who availed of the
Mr.
optional
President,
retirement.
not compulsory. Yung ano po, yung...
Optional, I'm sorry, optional retirement.
Yung mga natakot ng amba sila.
Yes, Mr. President. Bureau of Fire, 2020, optional retirement, 294. Compulsory retirement, 313. 2021, compulsory, 261. Optional, 177. 2022, compulsory, 235. Optional, 133. 2023, compulsory, 244. Optional, 265. 2024, 292. Compulsory, optional, 209.
Ito yung compulsory, ito yung 57, Mr. President.
Yes.
56 pa, no?
Optional. No, this is an optional retirement.
No, no,
Mr.
yung compulsory.
Compulsory is 57.
57?
For this year, 57.
But,
Yung mga previous years, 56.
so umabot na siya sa 57 na age?
For this year.
Na-implement na for this
Yes.
year. Ah.
2024 for this year, meron po. Compulsory retirement, 292. Tsaka optional, 209, Mr. President. BJMP naman, 2020, compulsory retirement, 233. Optional, 103. 2021, compulsory, 134. Optional, 88. 2022, compulsory, 136. Optional, 65. 2023, compulsory 166, optional 99. And 2024 as of March 47 compulsory and 23 optional retirement, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President. May we also know, good sponsor, if other countries require their military and uniformed personnel to contribute for their retirement benefits? What countries does not require mandatory contributions? Can the sponsor cite some examples?
What is this? Mr. President, information shared by our economic team showed that at least two countries in Southeast Asia, namely Brunei and Singapore, have MUP pension systems, which are fully funded by the national government. And others source their pension from contribution from their personnel through defined contributions as a percentage of their salary. Workers' share ranges from 3%, as in the case of Thailand, and up to 8%, as in the case of Vietnam and Laos. Meanwhile, government share ranges from 3% up to 14%. In the case of Russia, the rate is 22% of monthly salary. Masyadong malaki po. And there is no automatic indexation in Indonesia, in Singapore, Thailand, and Brunei. Vietnam's system is indexed to the cost of living and economic growth, while Russia's index is indexed to inflation. Only the Philippines and Brunei do not have pensionable age, whereas other jurisdictions have 44 to 62 years old as their pensionable age. Similar to the Philippines, which requires 20 years of service, the same is implemented in Indonesia, Singapore, and Vietnam. Laos requires 25 years of service, whereas Russia and Brunei require 15 years of service, which is similar for Filipino civil servants, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President. May I know what is the rationale behind the 7% contribution? How did we come up with the 7%? Bakit hindi po 5, 4, or 8? Or why 7?
Well, ang sinabi ko nga po kanina sa inyo sa aking kasagutan, 7%, kaya 7% po yung Armed Forces of the Philippines at 9% po yung ibang MUPs. Yung 7%, tapos 14% is yung shoulder ng national government, tapos yung ibang MUPs, 9% yung share nila, tapos 12% yung share ng national government. Ang nagbigay po ng ang rationale po behind it is that it was GSIS who during the series of consultation, ang GIS po nag-propose nitong scheme na ito, itong 9, 12, and 7 to 14, Mr. President. Ha? Yeah.
For comparison, civilian employee, magkano po ang kanilang kinocontribute?
9%, Mr. President, tsaka 12% ang for the national government. Parang synchronize lang ng GSIS, no? Pinattern lang sa ordinary workers ng gobyerno, Ginoong Pangulo.
Salamat, Mr. President. With this bill, no, o kung sakaling may batas to, since nandiyan dyan ang ating mga Department of Finance officials, ma-address na ba nito ang problema, yung ballooning deficit? Gaano katagal sa tingin ninyo ma-address itong problema?
Well, unti-unti po natin masusolusyonan itong ating problema. Dahil kung hindi po tayo mag-uumpisa ngayon,
Importante hindi apektado yung mga active at
hindi po.
retired military uniformed personnel. Mr. President, Section 14A provides that military personnel shall contribute 7% of their base pay and longevity pay as a personal share, and the national government shall contribute 14% as its counterpart share. May we be clarified in this is based on their monthly base pay, Mr. President?
Ano tanong?
Mr. President, hindi kasi nakalagay sa bill kung sa page 6, no? Number 1 sa page 6, hindi nakalagay monthly.
Mr. President, the answer to your question is that their monthly base pay and longevity pay, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President. Hindi kasi nakalagay dito yung monthly.
I think it is written in Section 7, Mr. President. You just might overlooked it, Mr. President.
Section 1. Sa section 14, then you turn to page 6, no, hindi nakalagay po, Mr. President, yung 7% of their base
Yes,
pay na po
I think
nakalagay.
there was a typographical error, Mr. President. Maybe in the period of amendments, we can amend it. Dahil nakalimutan niya ilagay yung monthly. So we will just insert it during the period of amendments, Mr. President.
Salamat for the clarification. Mr. President, the bill also states that the rates may be adjusted by the Development Budget Coordination Committee in consultation with the AFP Trust Fund Committee on account of adverse fiscal or economic conditions or the fiscal constraints of the national government. In this case, can the DBCC increase the rates even higher than 7%, Mr. President?
Well, Mr. President, the DBCC, that is composed of the Department of Finance, Department of Budget and Management, the NEDA, and of course the Office of the President, has the mandate to review and approve the macroeconomic targets, the revenue projections, the borrowing levels, the aggregate budget level, and expenditure priorities, and recommend to the Cabinet and the President of the Consolidated Public Sector Financial Position and National Government Fiscal Program, Mr. President. So I think they are in a position to.
The provision only required consultation with the AFP Trust Fund Committee. Even the committee, even when the committee disagrees, it will still be up to the DBCC to adjust the rates. The same is true with the rates for uniform personnel. Is that correct, good sponsor?
Yes, you are correct, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I believe we must further empower the committees and not just leave it to the DBCC so that we could further protect the interests of stakeholders. Additionally, good sponsor, the members of the AFP Trust Fund Committee also include the secretaries of DOF and DBM who are also members of the DBCC. This is something that we must consider. Moving on, Mr. President, may we know that what happened to the AFP Retirement and Separation Benefit System, which was established in 1973 to provide
Failure,
retirement
Mr. President.
to provide retirement and separation benefits to the military members of the AFP. Ano po nangyari dito at bakit kung hindi po ito naging successful, ano pong lessons learned natin dito na hindi na po maulit?
First of all, Mr. President, it's a total failure. The system was underfunded from the very start. There is no government counterpart in the pension contribution system aside from the 200 million initial seed capital. And Presidential Decree 361, as amended by PD 1656, mandates AFP-RSBS to return the soldiers' contribution. Compared to other pension systems, SSS and GSIS do not refund the contributions of its members, and these contributions are used to further make their fund grow and sustain their pension requirements. And compared to other countries, Mr. President, the AFP pension is generous because it is first based on the base pay and longevity pay of the next higher grade. Number two, it increases every time the active soldier's salary increases. Number three, it is granted earlier at 56 years of age. And the last one, the soldiers' dependents are given a high percentage of the pension once widowed. Pag namatay na po yung kanilang asawa. And in addition, the increase in number of pensioners is also contributing to the escalation in the pension requirement. The improved life expectancy of retirees further result in a pension requirement that is increasing at a faster pace than the yield from RSBS investments. And if I may add, Mr. President, the AFP-RSBS is classified as dissolved, liquidated, inactive by the Governance Commission for Government-Owned or Controlled Corporations, or by the GCG, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President. It was mentioned during the previous interpellations that uniformed personnel have to contribute at a higher rate of 9%, no? Since they have no assets like the AFP. Mr. President, hindi ba kakayanin kung parehas lang ang military at uniformed personnel na 7%? Bakit po, Mr. President? Ano bang implikasyon kung parehas na 7%? Magkano ba mawawala sa gobyerno?
Bago po tayo nagsimula ng interpellation, yan po ang aking pinakikiusap sa Department of Finance at sa iba't ibang ahensya ng ating sa mga economic managers natin. Kung pwede, ipantay na sila sa Armed Forces. Kung 7% ang contribution ng Armed Forces, sana ganun din sa iba't ibang agencies ng MUP, katulad ng mga police, ng MRIA, Coast Guard, Bucor, etc. etc. Tinanong ko rin kung magkano ang mawawala sa ating gobyerno kung sakasakaling 7%. Magkano ba? Kung 7% lang. Ilan? Dito. Ha? Saan?
1.4 billion.
Ang mawawala po ay 1.4 billion for the first year. So, ibig sabihin, tataas po ito sa mga susunod na taon. Kung ipapantay natin na 7% po sila lahat. Kaya naman po dahil malakas po ang loob namin, dahil ang GSIS, meron naman po silang track record na palaguin nila yung kanilang pera. Kaya malakas po ang loob namin na itong ating military, 7% lang, at yung ating mga iba't ibang MUP agencies ay 9%. Laki pala. So po, if I may add, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. President.
We prescribe lower contribution rate for the military compared to other uniformed personnel. Since katulad nga ng sinabi ko, paulit-ulit ko po sinasabi, kasi po may mga assets itong Armed Forces of the Philippines which can be utilized for the pension fund. Unlike the other uniformed services. Kasi yung mga police, MRIA, Bucor, Jail, Coast Guard, Fire, wala naman ho silang assets. And also, if I may echo the position of our Defense Secretary, AFP performs a sui generis mandate emanating from the 1987 Constitution to secure the sovereignty of the Republic of the Philippines and the integrity of our national territory. And he also pointed out that military personnel receive no additional financial support from local government units. Unlike some of the other services, like the Philippine National Police, they receive some mga local government units, Mr. President. And for
Salamat.
instance, Mr. President,
Salamat, Mr.
During
President.
the time of my father,
Kasi
former
paano
President
yung mga
Estrada,
Coast Guard at saka BGMP sa likod?
ratio doon ay lalala pag hindi namin sinuportahan yan, yung aming kapulisan. Dahil yung ratio namin nung araw ay masyadong malaki ang agwat. No? Ang ideal ratio nung araw, nung panahon ko, numero ko, 1:500. No? Kaya talagang lahat po ng klaseng suporta para sa ating kapulisan ay naibibigay ko bilang kanilang punong bayan.
Tsaka galante ang ating good sponsor. Anong mayor po siya. Siyempre, yung isang mayor din. Dalawa yan sila, the good one and the better one.
Ay, di, palagay ko naman, in fairness to Senator JV, when he was still mayor, I think naibibigay din ni Senator JV when he was still mayor of San Juan yung pangangailangan ng kanyang kapulisan. Kasi nung hindi na po ako mayor, nakikita ko naman po na mga bago rin po yung mga sasakyan ng aming kapulisan sa lungsod ng San Juan, Ginoong Pangulo. At tumaas din po ang income kasi nung ako'y pumasok sa pagka-mayor noong 1992, ang income lang po ng San Juan ay 60 million pesos lang. Kaya hirap na hirap po ako. Pero during my tenure, during my 3-year term as mayor, nakapagpatayo po tayo ng ospital. Ako'y namamalimos din po sa mga senador katulad natin ngayon. Maraming mga mayor na namamalimos at humingi rin project. Isa rin po ako nung araw. Napupunta rin po sa Senado, sumusulat din po ako senador para humingi rin ng project. Kaya nakapagpatayo po ako ng ospital, nakapagpatayo po ako ng magandang police building. Yan po ang...
Kaya naintindihan mo ang trabaho ng isang mayor, Mr.
Opo,
Sponsor.
naging mayor din po tayo.
Saka aside from sa mga trabaho ng isang mayor, baka maintindihan mo rin, baka kung sakaling magbago isip mo, Mr. Sponsor, tumatawa yung, nag-smile yung mga nasa likod mo na maparehas na lang sila lahat. Kung sakasakali naman na maparehas na lang po, Mr. President.
Ano tanong? Ano tanong? Iparehas? Well, siguro pagkatapos po ng interpellation na ito, kakausapin ko po yung economic managers.
I mean, maparehas sa
yes,
mas
ano,
mababa.
7%?
I mean, sa 7%.
Sa 7%. Yun nga po ang, sabi ko nga sa inyo kanina, bago po tayo nag-umpisa rito, kinakausap ko na yung mga economic managers, lalong-lalo na si Alo na tiga Department of Finance, na baka pwede natin iparehas. Kaya lang, meron din silang mga hinihinging iba na dito sa provision na kung pwede raw tanggalin. So, nagdi-discussion po kami. At siguro, siguro pag natapos na ating mga interpellation, siguro during the period of amendments, kung sakasakaling papayag itong ating mga economic managers, we have to strike a balance, no? Na hindi naman pumargabyado yung mga yung entrance tsaka yung ating gobyerno, Ginoong Pangulo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Moving to another topic, no, Mr. President, the bill provides that there shall be no automatic adjustment on the pension to the prevailing scale of salary of the active military and uniform personnel of the same rank. May we be clarified in this only applicable to new entrants? What is the current rate of automatic indexation? And can the good sponsor spread into the record once more? Will those in retired and active service still benefit from automatic indexation?
Yung sa current active pensioners, pensioners, there will be 100%, no? 100% indexation. Doon sa new entrants, wala po. Yung sa new entrants po, there will be subject to review by the DBCC, Mr. President.
So hindi po apektado ang retired and active, Mr. President?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Section 38 provides that on the 5th year and when the need arises thereafter, there shall be a review on the base pay and the rule on automatic indexation by the DBCC. May we be clarified on this 5th year from what, good sponsor, and will this provision allow the DBCC to remove automatic indexation for active and retired personnel?
Ano section? May I know what section are you referring to?
Section 38 po,
Ito, adjustment?
page 15.
Kanina? Pinag-usapan natin kanina? Ano tinatanong? Are you asking about the 3%, Mr. President? Are you referring to Section 38?
Yes, Mr. President.
So, ang ibig sabihin po nito, Ginoong Pangulo, what this means, Mr. President, is that, for example, you are receiving 100,000 pesos monthly salary. The next year, you will be receiving plus 3%. So that means you are going to receive 103,000 pesos. And on the second year, you have to compute 3% of the 103, magkano? You will receive around 106,000 plus pesos. That is good for 10 years. The reason why we adopted this is from the House version, Mr. President. No? The reason why we adopted this particular House version is that because of what happened when President Duterte increased the salaries of our armed forces personnel, masyado pong malaki. 100% yata. More than 100% yata, double yung tinaas yung sweldo ng ating AFP personnel. At doon nag-umpisa po ang problema. Nung tumaas po ng doble yung sweldo po ng ating kasundaluhan, lalo pong nag-abono. Malaki na po ang inabonohan ng national government. The DBCC cannot...
Mr. President, nandito po sa Section 38, on the fifth year and when the need arises thereafter, there shall be a review on the base pay on the rule and the rule on automatic indexation by the DBCC. Ang tanong po natin dito, gusto lang po nating ma-clarify, no? Fifth year from what? Good sponsor. At will this provision allow the DBCC to remove automatic indexation for active?
The DBCC cannot remove the automatic indexation.
Gusto lang po natin maklaro,
Mr. President.
So, yun lang po. For clarification lang po, Mr. President. Kasi magbabayaran sila. Meron lang pong... Mr. President, I believe we should further clarify this provision. Retirement pay. Mr. President, the bill provides that the maximum retirement pay for active military or uniformed personnel who will compulsorily retire after the effectivity of the act shall be increased to 90%. Bakit po hindi sinama natin dito yung mga retired? Magkano po ang kakailanganin kung tataasan din ang retirement pay nila? Can we amend this to include retirees? Matatanda na rin po ang ating mga retirees at baka hindi naman gaano kalakihan ang kailangan para dito. Makakatulong po ito sa kanilang mga medisina, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President, during when the appropriate time comes, I will propose my individual amendments, Mr. President.
Salamat, Mr. President. Mr. President, Section 40 provides that military or uniformed personnel who enter the service after the effectivity of this act shall be provided medical insurance upon their compulsory retirement. Ano pong medical insurance ito, Mr. President? Ito ho ba ang sa PhilHealth? Bakit hindi na lang isinama ito ang nasa active service or retired? Anong insurance po ito?
Mr. President, your committee included a provision about medical insurance following the numerous consultations we had with all the MUPs. No? The armed forces in particular related to us the need of the pensioners and the retirees, especially those in advanced age, Mr. President, for access to quality and affordable health care. They lament that the AFP Medical Center or the V. Luna General Hospital in Quezon City, which provides them free health care, has no regional branches to cater to those residing in the provinces. Hence, to allow our retirees access to quality health care, Mr. President, wherever they may be, and in response to the clamor of our military uniformed personnel, we included this provision. And this is also one of the additional benefits to MUP personnel who will be contributing a portion of their monthly base pay to their respective trust funds, Mr. President.
Thank you, good sponsor. To end, Mr. President, I just want to put on record, naintindihan ko po ang concerns ng ating mga finance managers. We all want to address the ballooning pension requirement and prevent a looming budget disaster. Pero para sa akin, Mr. Chair, wag sana natin itong gawin at the expense of the military and all uniform personnel na nagbuwis ng buhay at nagsasakripisyo para sa bayan, ibahin natin ang pagkonsidera sa kanila dahil sabi ko nga, iba po ang kanilang trabaho, buhay po ang kanilang tinataya nila para mapanatili ang seguridad ng ating bansa. Let us spare the retired and active personnel bilang pagkilala sa sakripisyo na ginawa at ginagawa nila para sa bayan. Konsuelo na po natin ito para sa kanila. Again, thank you to our very capable sponsor, Senator Estrada, and maraming salamat din po sa assurances and clarification kanina at sana po'y magdulot ito ng peace of mind sa ating mga uniform personnel. I know with our collective effort, we can find balance in this and consider the welfare and livelihood of our men and women in uniform. Maraming salamat po, Mr. President. Maraming salamat, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would also like to thank the gentleman from Davao for his very, very relevant questions and valuable insights. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Madam President, may I ask for a minute suspension?
Session is suspended.
Sponsor the measure. I move to recognize Senator Francis Tolentino, Chairperson of the Special Committee on Philippine Maritime and Admiralty Zones, to deliver the sponsorship speech.
We recognize Senator Francis Tolentino.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, as your chairman of the Senate Special Committee on Philippine Maritime and Admiralty Zones, allow me once again to stand before you to sponsor Senate Bill 2665 or the Philippine Archipelagic Sea Lanes Act. Nagpapasalamat muna ako, Mr. President, kay Senator Sani Angara, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, and our good, hard-working majority leader for giving me the space and time to sponsor this important measure. Mr. President, this bill, under Committee Report 251, is authored by this representation and Senators Pimentel, Estrada, Revilla, Gatchalian, Tulfo, and De La Rosa. The bill will establish a system of sea lanes in the Philippine waters by connecting the coordinates of the following axis lines: Philippine Sea, Balintang Channel, to West Philippine Sea; Celebes Sea, Sibuto Passage, Sulu Sea, Cuyo East Pass, Mindoro Strait, West Philippine Sea; Celebes Sea, number 3, Celebes Sea, Basilan Strait, Sulu Sea, Nasubata Channel, Balabac Strait to the West Philippine Sea. Kailangan po natin itong archipelagic sea lanes, Mr. President, dahil tayo po ay binubuo ng napakaraming isla, 7,641 islands. The international community afforded us the right to do so, and we have earned our legal and international recognition in no less than the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Article 53, paragraph 1 of UNCLOS states, an archipelagic state may designate sea lanes, air routes thereabove suitable for continuous and expeditious passage of foreign ships and aircraft through and above or over its archipelagic waters and adjacent territorial sea. But we need an enabling law. We need this for our national security, we need this for jurisdictional clarity, and we need this for resource management. Mr. President, on behalf of the brave men and women patrolling the West Philippine Sea, on behalf of our fishermen being deprived of their fishing rights in the Scarborough Shoal, and on behalf of our maritime nation that needs reinforced legal protection, I call on each of our colleagues here to likewise see the urgency of this measure and prioritize the immediate passage of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President. I reserve the right to submit an extended version of the sponsorship speech into the records. And once again, I'd like to thank Senator Sani Angara, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, and Senator Joel Villanueva, our hardworking majority leader, for giving me the appropriate space and time to deliver the sponsorship speech. Maraming salamat po at magandang gabi, Madam President.
Thank you and congratulations once again. I actually have a co-sponsorship measure. With the permission of the sponsor, may the speech be inserted into the record.
Yes, Madam President.
Thank you, Madam President. And the good sponsor already told me that he is very thankful and grateful for the support of the Madam Senate President Pro Temp, Your Honor.
Yes, I did not hear my name, but thank you for that
Yes.
anyway.
He texted me, Madam President.
Yes.
And he is very grateful.
May I know, this is a special committee that was newly created.
Yes, Madam President.
Because I supported that from the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Also, Madam President, Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, together with Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, who is still here with us, wanted to just insert into the records their co-sponsorship speech.
So it's reflected in the record, yes?
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I now move that we suspend consideration of Senate Bill number 2665 to allow our colleagues to study further the measure. I so move, Madam
There's
President.
no objection. Hearing none, there is now a motion for the suspension of the consideration of the measure, hereby suspended.
Ask for a minute suspension, Madam President.
Session suspended.
Hanggang dito lang tayo mga tol. Maraming salamat sa panonood at patuloy na suporta. God bless you sa inyo lahat at hanggang sa muli. Paalam.